Welcome to Q Science's product training call. My name is Carly, and I help out at the corporate office. And I feel really fortunate to host tonight's product call because, as you know, we have a very special guest tonight, Dr. Kimberley. Dr. Kimberley is Q Science's Chief Science Officer and heads up the Q Scientific Advisory Board. He is also, and has been for 13 years, Senior Editor for WebMD, which makes me feel better about going to the site when I want to learn more about supplements or medical issues, to know that his 30 years of experience in the medical profession is providing oversight and information. And as many of you know, Dr. Kimberley developed the Q Vitalize formula and our Q10 Plus antioxidant formula and makes sure all our formulas are balanced and effective. So as one of the newer members of the corporate team, this is a really special opportunity for me. Dr. Kimberley is also speaking at the Northwest Regional Super Saturday on September 21st, so be sure to register for that event so you can see and hear from him in person. Now, as I told Dr. K earlier, tonight he is the main attraction, so I don't want to take up any more time. So it is my pleasure to welcome and turn the time over to Dr. Kimberley.
Great. Carly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Well, I'm very pleased. That was a stellar introduction, I must say, and I am equally delighted to be on this call. And we have limited time tonight. I'd like to get right into a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is the topic of probiotics. And you know, we've got such a great product in Q-Biotic that I just can't say enough about it. And I'd like to tonight to talk a little about the many benefits that you can attain by ensuring that you have the right bacteria in your intestines, boosting your immune system, synthesizing B vitamins, reducing your cancer risk, preventing irritable bowel syndrome and other intestinal problems. And you know, you might ask, can I take one Q-Biotic a week or one twice a week? Am I going to get the same effects from that? And the answer is no. Certainly, taking it twice a week is far, far better than not taking a probiotic like Q-Biotic. And there just aren't any others like it. So, but taking it every day has a very different effect on your health. By streaming in another dose of bacteria on a daily basis, you change the chemistry in your body in some really remarkable ways. And you know, most recently they've discovered that taking probiotics regularly will reduce the formation of food allergies, will reduce eczema and other allergies in children, and this is something you can give your kids down to 2 years old, or even below, really, if they're taking formula. And there are so many other benefits. It's difficult to even list them. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to illustrate a point. There is so much information out there about supplements, about health. And one of the things we do at Q Sciences, and we try to do very well, and that is remove the confusion and answer your concerns, answer your questions as quickly as possible and as completely as possible through the Ask the Doctors program, which I answer questions on a daily basis. And Dr. Mashofsky also helps answer questions. Now, a lot of what you hear out there is untrue. It simply has to be. And the other day, 2 days ago, I opened the newspaper, and on the front page, there was an article that said, "Back off probiotics." And, I was immediately taken aback and wanted to see, what they had to say. And, of course, this headline was completely misleading because the article basically said that if you're taking antibiotics and you're taking probiotics at the same time to prevent antibiotic-associated diarrhea, they weren't effective. Well, first of all, this is kind of silly because if you take probiotics at the same time you're taking an antibiotic, the antibiotic is just going to kill the probiotics. And nonetheless, I still suggest that people do that. And certainly the studies that have been done that show that taking probiotics prevents antibiotic-associated diarrhea are in people who took the probiotics after they took the antibiotics, which makes certainly more sense. So this is just an example of how misleading a headline can be. And I know you've got clients, you've got interested people who read the paper, and they're going to be reading things like that and take it out of context and not really understand what is being said. And this unfortunately is a problem with the mainstream medical establishment. They tend to poo-poo supplements and herbal and natural remedies for some reason. I really don't know why, but they do. So if somebody comes to you with that kind of a question, you know what to say. And when you take antibiotics, that's a time when absolutely everybody should be taking probiotics on a daily basis. But things like sugar, refined flours can kill and alter the bacteria in your intestines. So by taking probiotics, Q-biotic on a daily basis, you're going to be preventing a deficiency, which really is what it is, of those beneficial bacteria. Now, Darren and I were just up in Hillsboro, Oregon, 2 nights ago, giving a presentation to a group of about 60 very interested people. And I had some questions from the audience that said, well, why is Q-biotic different? How does it get through the acid barrier in the stomach? Because most people know that if you take even yogurt or a store-bought probiotic, it's usually bound to be killed by the bacteria, by the acid in your stomach, unless it has a delivery mechanism like Q-biotic. And so I describe this double-patented process in which a gel kind of cloud forms around the tablet. And I don't know whether they believe me, but I did something which I've seen done before and which I suggest that you do, and that is take a half a glass of water and put a Q-biotic in there, and within 20 seconds you'll see that cloud of protective coating that forms around the tablet. So this was really got their attention. They were really tickled by it, and I think at that point they went, wow, okay, I get it. And the great thing about this kind of gel cloud that forms around the tablet is at the same time that it's protecting the bacteria from stomach acid, it is reviving the bacteria. And so Q-biotics do not need to be refrigerated. It's probably a good idea to refrigerate a lot of supplements because it might keep them fresher, especially if you live in a hot place. And but this is a very stable formulation that is good for everyone from kids, a year old on up to, the end of life. And, studies clearly indicate that people who are very healthy have a healthy internal flora. With flora, by flora I mean the bacteria in their colon. And, by taking Q-biotic, you are 100% guaranteed to have a healthy flora there within 10 to 14 hours of taking your first tablet. Sometimes I get questions about the capsule. Is the capsule vegan? Well, there's no capsule here. It's a tablet. So there are no worries there. And this is something that, should be right in your medicine chest on a daily basis for the rest of your supplements, rest of your Q96 and your Q Essentials. And it's in the Q Essentials pack, so if you're taking Q Essentials, you're covered. But I understand there's some good news about maybe a special on Q-Biotics, so it's always a good idea to have extra on hand. I know that in our house we've got a few bottles around to make sure we take it on a daily basis.
That's great. I think I appreciate you talking about the misleading headlines, because one of the myths that I've always heard is that it has to be refrigerated. If it contains live bacteria that is going to work, it has to be refrigerated. So I appreciate you addressing that as well. I just had a couple of questions that came to mind for me. If you have a few more minutes.
You bet.
And then I'll explain to everyone about the special. You said it's safe for kids. Would you give them the same dosage from 2 to 18, or is the dosage okay for children? Just the 2 capsules
with
a day?
small children, you can break these tablets in half or even in quarters without losing any of the protective coating or any of the benefits. And so for small children, child 2 years old or whatever, putting it in their applesauce or whatever will certainly do the trick. But I don't think you need, at that age, you don't need a full tablet. You can get by with a half, quarter, depending on their size.
Great.
And also for dogs,
go ahead.
too. Dogs and
really?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that will be helpful for a lot of people. I had another question. Because from personal experience, I was lucky enough to have a doctor. I had peptic ulcers, and nothing relieved them. And I was lucky enough to have a doctor that suggested probiotics, and now I take Q-Biotics, and it works like a charm. Can you explain a little bit? Does it work for peptic ulcers? How does it work for them? Or is it a good
really glad you
preventative for those?
I'm really glad you brought that up, and I'm adding that to my list, because that is a clear benefit from probiotics and Q-Biotic especially. And what happens? We used to think that ulcers were caused by stress and acid, etc. But in the past 30 years, we've learned clearly that Helicobacter and other bacteria are the causes of peptic ulcers. Certainly, stress, etc., is not good for them. It just makes that worse. But it is a bacteria that is kind of epidemic, and they've shown that you can actually catch it from family members by kissing, etc. I don't want to put a cramp in anyone's love life here, but it's something that's around in the environment. And if you become colonized with Helicobacter, you're at significant risk for having the bacteria eat through the mucosal lining of your small intestine and cause ulcers. And, the most common treatment for doctor treatment for ulcers now is a course of antibiotics, and sometimes they use 2 or 3 antibiotics, and pretty strong antibiotics. And this shouldn't be, but I would much rather treat people with a good probiotic such as Q-Biotic. And,
Great.
We talk about the beneficial bacteria, setting up house in the lower intestines, but The fact of the matter is once they're established in the lower intestine, those bacteria go up the intestinal tract and can affect and improve the environment in the lower small intestine, in the stomach, and even the esophagus, and even up into the sinuses, etc. Because our internal bacteria are it's like a big colony. So changing things on one end gradually changes things on the other end. So if you have a tendency towards ulcers, I just think that's another reason to take your Q-biotic daily.
Great. I agree, and it has helped me so much. And when I found out that it wasn't caused by stress, it was from habits, or even ibuprofen is one of the main causes. It's just another piece of that education that you provide for us and our IBOs that is invaluable. So thank you so much. I will go ahead and just remind everyone on the line tonight that we do have an amazing promotion going through Monday. When you buy 2 bottles of Q-Biotics, you get a 3rd bottle free, plus a free bottle of Q-Pets. And it's a huge savings. So for those who love the product, who want to try the product, or want to share the product, you can call or email IBO Success by Monday to receive 3 bottles of Q-Biotics and 1 bottle of Q-Pets for just $119.95. That's $119.95 with 95 PV for 3 bottles of Q-Biotics and 1 bottle of Q-Pets. So this is a tremendous saving and one of my favorite products. So at this time, I just want to thank Dr. Kimberley once again for his incredible insight and the wealth of knowledge he brings to Q Sciences. And I want to thank all of you who took time out of your schedule to join the call tonight. And with that, good night, and thank you, Dr. K.